Hey, welcome back to the channel. We're getting back on our old Flipper C10 Marianne back here. We're going to get all the suspension back on it right here.
So here is our kit here. Again, this kit, the brakes, the Wilwood Disc Brake kit, and the spindles, that was a kit from Classic Performance Parts, and we actually bought that on eBay. I think that kit was about $900 or just under $1,000. Came with the Wilwood Disc Brakes, the spindles. We were hoping not to have to change the spindles, but however, Chevy had two different calipers that they put on here. One was an inch and one was an inch .25. The 1 inch calipers you can't run a Wilwood disc brake on because the spindles are different. So even though we had Beltec front spindles on this truck when we bought it, we had to take the Beltec off because we couldn't run the Wilwood disc brakes with the spindles that we had. So we had to buy a kit that came with spindles and came with all the Wilwood disc brake stuff. The springs are original to the truck. Actually, the springs were on the truck when I bought it. So the person that lowered this truck originally purchased new springs for it, and we're just going to rerun those same springs. The upper and lower control arms I just purchased off an eBay store. I'm really not sure how they're going to be. I do know that we're going to have to do something with the front steering stabilizer bar, because our steering stabilizer bar has two mounting points, and this steering stabilizer for this control arm only has one. So we're probably going to have to do something here and drill it to make sure we have a mounting point for the steering stabilizer bar, because this control arm is a little different. Even though I even emailed the manufacturer, and they said that this control arm was supposed to work with a stock steering stabilizer bar, which it is not going to. You're going to have to alter it to get it to work, especially with the steering stabilizer bar that came originally on this truck. But anyway, this is our job today. Get this all back together. As you can see, we have this pretty well ready to go in. And what I did on here was even though we cleaned and painted all this stuff up, pulled it all apart, and I'm not showing all that in this video. I'm sure you guys can pull all your stuff apart and paint it. I left the original calipers hanging while I did all of that, so that I didn't have to bleed the brakes so much. So when I get to the point of getting ready to put the new Wilwood calipers on, that's when we'll take all this stuff off, and we'll have to introduce less air into the system and be easier to bleed, after, rather than having these off for weeks. I take this off and clean it and paint it. Again, I did buy new inner fender wells. Anyway, here we go. Alright, so the first thing we had to do here was paint these inner fender wells. They come with a coating on them. Doesn't really last. It scratches real easy. I'm not going to protect it from rusting. So anyway, we just got some farm implement, single stage, semi-gloss or low gloss. Sprayed it on them real quick. Let this flash off. Let it flash off. Probably let it sit overnight. Let it set up real well, and then we'll put these inner fender wells on first, and then we will get the suspension all back in it. Good times. So what I'm doing here is there's these holes
holes in here. You look right down there, you'll see these holes rotate. All right, see that right there? The bolts. These bolts right here that are in there, right there, those bolts right there fit right in there. So I just rotated that where it was in a place where I could get that up there. So that bolt that's hanging down in the center of this right here, center of that right there, goes in the hole in there, and that centers this. Okay, so you want to make sure you get that. This. And then these go on like that. And then these go on like this. There's a little notch right here that goes in. You just need to line that up with that. Okay, so you see I got my jack underneath there holding that. I got the bottom one in right here. See that? Just a little bit. That top one in right there. This is in. So brake always goes towards the back. If you're wondering which one here goes on, this is the shock mount. Always goes towards the back of the truck because the shock goes here. So this is all in. I'm gonna thread these nuts on so that this thing doesn't come off. Not gonna put them on too terribly tight. Just gonna get them where they'll grab. And then this bottom one on here. Okay, so I got those on. Oh. Got those on. I'm gonna just jack this up just a little bit more, just to see if I can get a little bit more thread on that one down there. So jack this up just a little more. I'm trying to just make sure I get a little bit more thread on this one down here. That one right there. But I might not. So I can always just grab a wrench and tighten that down. Get the right wrench here. It's all the old stuff we took off. There we go. We're just gonna tighten this up right here, just so it doesn't go nowhere. So all I'm doing here is just, I'm gonna thread these together so that they're just about the same length. And then I'll be done. Remember, one of these is left-hand thread and one of them is right-hand thread. So, you know, if it ain't going on, try the other way. Okay? All right, there's the two different size nuts on here, so you can't screw it up. The bigger nut, the bigger end goes on this side. And the smaller end, smaller nut goes on this side. You can't really screw them up, so, which is good because I probably would have screwed them up. All right, just a quick update where we are at with this thing here. All right, we have one side just about on here. So, gonna need to go get some grease in the morning. We got this side on here. We got lower control arm on, got the spring in, got the spindle on. We got the new tie rod end in. The new tie rod in. Got the brake dust cover there. So this side's pretty well done. We'll get some grease in the morning. We'll pack some bearings. We'll get this side back on. But it's getting pretty close. Everything's just up here. It's not overwhelmingly tight. This is all loose yet. I'm just gonna leave it fairly loose because I'm not gonna drive it. I'm going to put it on the trailer and bring it right over to an alignment shop where I think I'll have them put new tires on this thing and give it an alignment, or front tires for sure, and give it an alignment. And then we'll go from there. So over here on the other side, we still have this side to go, all of it to go on this side. So yeah, we'll pick it up in the morning and we'll see how it goes here. So good times. You see that new inner fender well in there. Looks good. Really gonna be a good looking truck. Everything's dusty, dirty. All this dust. Working on that 57 Chevy. Getting dust all over the shop and all over everything. Yeah, it's dusty. Anyway, we need to get this one together and done. Get it. I need to buff it. Finish wet sanding it and buff it. And get this thing out of here. But anyway, it's getting there. It's better than it was. So good times. Alright, we're back on this thing today. Gonna pack some bearings. Get this thing together. Seal in. Okay. Pack some bearings here. So the key to packing bearing is to get the grease up in that edge. So all I'm doing is just rubbing this bearing on my hand to press the grease up in that edge. That edge right in there. All you're doing. Trying to get as much. See where it's pushing through on this side? Just keep on packing that grease in until it pushes through on the other side. I'll show you what I mean here. See it coming through? Do this. That's all you're gonna do. See it coming through, coming up right there. That's all you're doing. You're packing that bearing, and you see the grease come through. There, it's all the way through the other side. See it coming up. See it coming up. Pushing up that other side right there. That's all you're doing. Just packing that bearing. Get as much grease up in there as you can until it squishes out the other side. Alright, did you guys see what I did here? You see the mistake I made here? I put the seal in, the seal, before I put the bearing in like a dummy. So, I'm gonna have to get this seal out real quick so I can put the bearing in. I know what I was thinking. Guess I was in a hurry. So, put this down and get that seal out of there. Try not to bark up the race here. Hopefully this will come out. I'm messing up the seal. We got it out. Doesn't look like we hurted it all, but we got it back out. Alright, let's get this thing in here. Seal back in. Wilwood Disc Brakes, Wilwood calipers. Stuff. The most expensive part of every job is right there. Parts are free. You gotta pay for the stickers. Down here, tighten it up. Brake line. Brakes. Alright, get this brake line on. You notice I haven't taken my old caliper off yet. And I did that for a reason. I pulled this all apart and just laid this old caliper on the ground so that I didn't get all kinds of air in the system, so that the system's only open for a short time. I'm gonna put my line on here and work my way backwards. So all I gotta do, take this loose here at the frame and not introduce a bunch of air in the system. And then I'll just have to bleed right out front here. Fittings. 2 copper washers, and these washers go, when you put it on there, they'll one on this side, like that, one on there, and then one on this side, like that. And then you thread it in the hole in the caliper. Brass crush fittings. Exactly what you do. Just crush it on there. Alright. And we got the one right here at the frame. Alright, we got the brake line on, we got the new caliper on, new rotor on. We now need, all I'm going to do is just crack this lower bleeder. See, on a Wilwood they got two bleeders. They got an upper bleeder, they got a lower bleeder. They do that so that you can put this caliper on either side. This caliper go on either side. Anyway, I'm going to find a wrench, take this loose, and just let this gravity bleed for now. Let's see if it's a quarter. Probably a quarter. Let's see here. That's a quarter. Alright. Got it open. We'll just let it bleed by gravity for now. See what happens. Leave that sit there for a while, let it bleed. Gravity bleed. Keep going here. Alright. One side's on. Come in there yet? Yeah. See? Just bleed naturally. See that? Let that bleed off. Just gravity bleed there for a while. Alright, we'll get going on this other side. Alright, so we got a problem. These are sprung out like this. Both of them are. And they won't go in there. I'm going to take them over to the vise and see if we can't tweak them back in a little bit. see here. I'm gonna take you with. I'm gonna take you with so you know what I'm doing. All right. So. Right there, those holes right there, this thing here was spread out, was spread. So we're trying to get it in a little bit so that it'll fit in there again. So it's spread just a little bit, and these will go in here. Here. Alright, that'll work. Alright, they're going in now, so get this out, set this back up, and then see those right there. These were spread out. These are spread too far. They wouldn't fit in there no more. So we put them in the vise, squeezed them down so they'll fit in there now. Alright, I'm gonna go get my tripod, get you set back up here. Alright, well that was a haul. I'm really glad to be done with this. It was a lot of work. Anyway, finally done with it. We got a few more things to finish up on it. We got to bleed them yet. We got to figure out the front steering stabilizer bar yet. Probably have to make some modifications to the control arms. We need to drill a couple holes where those bolt up. But we'll figure that out some other time, some other day. But it's finally back down on all fours again, and it's at least we can wheel it out of the shop and get it in and out of a spot. So anyway, more to come on this one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See y'all.